And she said, she noted particularly that it was snowing. We don't get many snows in April, a lot in February, not in April. But that night it was snowing, and there was a young man with his shirt sleeves rolled up, no coat, no hat, no overshoes. His hair was all tousled. His eyes were vacuous and staring. He had smudges of dirt on his forehead and his cheeks. And then she was particularly surprised when he asked her a question. Where is the nearest bus stop? She said, the buses aren't running at this point. The nearest one I know of will be in Hamilton, about 8 miles from here. How do I get there? She said, well, you go out here and then if I drive and turn left and follow it, and go to Hamilton. He thanked her, she closed the door, he disappeared. To the best of our knowledge, that was probably Ron Tammen. Where he went, we don't know. It was in November of 1953, the same year that Ron Tammen disappeared, that students in Fisher Hall heard somebody singing very loudly in the formal gardens, about 100 yards or so from Fisher Hall, in a voice that went from deep bass to high falsetto and back down again. Some went out to investigate. They saw a shadowy figure wearing black clothing, dark clothing, long hair. When it saw them, it ran off. The next night, it was back and singing again. This time the RAs of Fisher Hall went to investigate. Half a dozen or so of them, again the figure ran off. They couldn't identify what it was or who it was. The next night, a larger crowd assembled when again the singing returned. And this time it included some of the fastest runners at Miami, determined to catch whatever it was. They went off in pursuit of it, and when it saw them coming, it took off. And it made its way through the woods, through the tangle of underbrush and fallen trees, without falling, where one by one the pursuers were tumbling over these obstacles, until finally there was only one person still in pursuit of this phantom. And that person, when he got back to the dorm, said, you know, I got so close to whatever it was that I was chasing, that if I'd reached out, I could have touched it. He said, why, man, didn't you do it? He said, because I didn't know what it was. It didn't look human. It looked like a ghost. And I was fearful if I touched it, something might happen to me.
It's not... You're confusing ghosts with, like, dragons or ghouls. Ghouls can do that.
So he said it escaped. The phantom never returned after that. But a number of students said that could that be the ghost of Ron Tammen.
Okay. Is there anything here that would like to have its presence known? EVP is short for electronic voice phenomenon, and I need to make an important distinction. There's voice phenomenon and then there's electronic voice phenomenon. What I was trying to do was record a disembodied voice that we couldn't hear with our own ears. It's thought that it's essentially spirit communication.
I think the Ron Tammen case is something that's been in the public eye many times. Every time they think they've found his remains, it's in the papers again. It was in the papers again just a couple of years ago. when they thought that remains might have been discovered in Walker County, Georgia, and so people from Ohio go flocking off, and they did DNA tests with Tammen's descendants, and it turned out not to be the case. Chartered in 1853, and it opened in 1855, and it was brought here by, I believe, the Third Presbyterian Church. It was either the second or third, I believe the third. A minister named Reverend Daniel Tinney, who was one of the more liberal ministers, who resigned his ministry to shepherd through the creation of the Western College, or the Western Female Seminary.
As Helen Peabody, for whom the hall was named, and been honored by having the residence hall at Western named in her honor. She was the pioneer educator for Western, and come from Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts.
They encouraged people from Mount Holyoke in Massachusetts to create the Western Female Seminary as a sister institution, our daughter institution of Mount Holyoke. Mount Holyoke was creating daughter institutions in various parts of the country and influencing the creation of other institutions for women, because Mary Lyon, the founder of Mount Holyoke, had a method, she called it, whereby students would work for their room and board and learn domestic arts that way, and in return they would be educated in this seminary. And so ladies from Mount Holyoke in Massachusetts came out to Oxford, Ohio. They're still buried together up in the Western Cemetery up on the hill here in Oxford Cemetery, and headed by Miss Helen Peabody. And they built the main building there in 1855. It burned in 1860 completely, and was rebuilt in 1860. It burned again in 1870 and was rebuilt in 1871. So the building we have today is the third iteration of the main building for the Western Female Seminary. And over the years, the name of the school changed from the Western Female Seminary to the Western College for Women, and finally to Western College.